here with a review for Clash of the Titans, the 2010 remake starring Sam Worthington, Liam Neeson and Gemma Areton. Set in ancient Greece, the story follows Perseus, the half-god son of Zeus and a human woman, whose adoptive family, fishermen, get killed by Hades, Zeus's brother and lord of the underworld. Desperate for revenge, Perseus joins up with soldiers from the city of Argos to save it from Hades' son, the Kraken, who threatens to destroy it unless the city gives him their princess. Along the way he meets the demigoddess Io, who has been watching over him for many years, and Suleiman, a half-monster, half-magician creature that helps them in their battles against other mythical creatures such as the Medusa and giant scorpions. First off, the acting. Unfortunately, despite this being an all-star cast with big names such as Sam Worthington, Liam Neeson, Ralph Fiennes and Gemma Areton, the acting here is mediocre. Sam Worthington is an actor that I have never particularly cared for, and he often feels a bit like an Australian version of Jason Statham. I'm not saying that he's a terrible actor, just not the most convincing, and I feel that he very much just became a star overnight because of the combination of Terminator and Avatar. He plays the role as well as he can, which is just essentially your typical butch, muscly action hero, which is a shame because this character has a lot more depth to it, or would have done if the writing was better, but we'll get to that later. Liam Neeson and Ralph Fiennes play two of the gods, Zeus and Hades, and while they are arguably the best actors in the movie, at times they do come off as over the top and really just hamming it up for the sake of hamming it up. But then again, I can't blame them given that this dialogue is so poor. And for whatever reason, Ralph felt it necessary to do his Lord Voldemort wheezing voice as Hades. Now one could argue that it's because Hades is the god of death, but really, you already did that voice for Voldemort, so couldn't you come up with something else? And Gemma Areton, though she is very beautiful and she has that great voice, she doesn't really do all that much, and she jumps from roles. Sometimes she's the wise sort of sage of the group, sometimes she's a warrior who needs saving, and sometimes she's the love interest. It just jumps and jumps, and it's very annoying, and I don't blame Gemma for not giving the best performance out of it. And the rest of the cast is passable, all playing the roles that they are given, which are essentially stereotypes. The soldiers all play it much like Perseus, being butch and tough. And as for Suleiman and his race of warrior magicians, I forget what they're called, they do okay, though really the acting is more down to the special effects than it is actually to the people inside the suits. No offense to whoever was in there, but there really isn't all that much to say in that regard. And that leads me into my second point, the special effects. Now, this movie obviously had a huge budget, and I can't help but wonder where that went, because the effects here are really not that good. I mean, yes, say what you will about the original film and Ray Harryhausen's effects, but those effects were appropriate for their time, and they were in fact groundbreaking during that time. But these are, well, unimpressive to say the least. It's so obvious that they're CG, and I know some people out there saying, well, duh, they are CG, but I don't mean that as in, well, I'm stupid and I can't figure that out. I mean as in the fact that they don't look believable or realistic in the slightest. I never feel like the actor is actually facing a monster. I just feel like the actor is acting to, well, air. They never command threats or really pose all that much of an interest. Even the Kraken at the end is a disappointment and just comes off as something out of a PlayStation 3 game. And the Medusa, which is one of the big set pieces, doesn't look all that impressive either. Now, while I can't fault the technology for not being there yet, the thing is, the face on her looks incredibly superimposed, and it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like it belongs to that body. It just feels like they photoshopped it onto a generic model, which once again came out of a PlayStation 3 game. The movements are not snake-like, nor are they human-like, considering that she's half snake and half human. And the special effects are not the only area where the film has problems with its visuals. The design is also dreadful. Argos, the city of Argos looks passable. It looks like something out of a TV miniseries, which is not bad, except that this movie had a huge multi-million-dollar budget. But beyond that, there are some sets here which are genuinely awful, most notably the Medusa set. oh my god, this has to be one of the worst designed sets in the history of film. It's so obvious that they designed it for an action scene. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't even look like a place that a monster would really want to live in. I mean, yeah, say what you will about other monsters in film, but at least the places they live in make sense. At least they have an even ground level, and it doesn't feel like it was just a bunch of jumbled stuff that would have made cool scenes in the video game adaptation. Good action movies never make their set pieces obvious. They always give you some suspense. But here you walk in and you just say, oh yeah, I know what's coming. And that is a great disappointment. And Ramin Djawadi's score doesn't help much, being about as generic, cliched and uninventive as they come. In effect, it feels like Hans Zimmer if he had completely forgotten his musical tastes. Everything about this soundtrack is generic, from the chorus to the action music. There is nothing here that I could hum to or memorize, which is already a big problem given that Lord of the Rings, which again was made by Warner Brothers, the same studio that produced this, had not only great movies but great soundtracks that fully complemented and expanded the epicness. Here, not so much, and it only adds to the hollowness of the film. But the worst crime of all here is the cinematography, which of course plays into the script. Oh my freaking lord. This film was directed by Louis Leterrier, the same guy who gave us The Incredible Hulk and the first two Transporter movies. You'd think that this guy would have cinematography nailed to a frickin' T. But no, half this movie feels like it was shot by some film school graduate. I'm serious, the action scenes here are dreadful, and considering this is supposed to be an action epic film, you'd think that that was the one area where they could not afford to screw up, but they did. Everything is done in close-up, which is already a big problem because it means you can never fully appreciate the scale or threat of the monsters. Add to that completely pointless use of slow motion, most notably in one of the scenes where one of the soldiers throws another soldier a spear. Why was slow motion there? What did it add? And it was in the worst angle possible, because it just showed the spear spinning through the air and getting caught by the guy's hand, and not in a cool way, just in that one-take shot style, which shows that they weren't bothered to shoot it from two different angles to give it some sense of coolness. Instead, it's just slow down in one shot, and it's completely and utterly pointless and doesn't make the scene any better. And if the bad cinematography wasn't enough, what's actually said in the scenes is even worse. This has to be one of the worst scripts I've ever seen in the many years that I've been watching movies. I'm serious. Even Island of Dr. Moreau with Marlon Brando didn't have this bad of a script. It is generic, cliched, and streamlined to the nth degree. There is nothing suspenseful, there is no plot twist, there's nothing here that's remotely interesting. All these characters are cardboard stereotype cutouts. It's pathetic. You'd think that after the Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter movies that people would have the epic films nailed to a T, but no. This movie goes out of its way to go a step back. It's like, oh, we gotta go here, oh, we gotta go here, oh, we gotta have the final battle there. Everything is obvious, there are no surprises here, and the characters don't get any kind of development. They start one way and they stay the exact same. It's pathetic. You think that Perseus, for going on a quest to save a city as well as avenge his family, would get some character depth and would be able to understand what it's like to be a half-god. But no, he just starts out as a butch, arrogant guy, and he ends as a butch, arrogant guy. It's just dreadful, and the fact that makes it worse is the fact that the gods themselves are not sympathetic. They're all just played up as overpowered psychopaths, which doesn't help in the least, considering that we're supposed to be rooting for Zeus when Hades finally manages to take over. And so I must give Clash of the Titans the only point it deserves, which is a plastic star. This has to be one of the worst films I've ever seen. Everything was here to make it work. An all-star cast, a big budget, and a great director. And they threw it all down the toilet with some of the worst scripting in the history of cinema. Frankly, if you want to see Clash of Titans, stick with the original.